Mariner Sales Ambassador, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the gear that I wear when it comes to fall and winter fishing. I'll share with you a quick story. When the first ever time I got my first kayak, it was a sit-on-top kayak that was probably longer than 10 feet. It was in the middle of February, and the weather just dipped right down to 30 degrees, and the day before it was around 60 degrees. But I was so bent on just getting out there to fish. Well, all I had was the wrong pair of gloves, the wrong hat, the wrong underwear on, the wrong hard shell and soft shells that I had on too, and I almost caught hypothermia that day. It's really important that you guys invest not just in your kayak and paddles and stuff, but also into really good foul weather gear. Even on a day like this where it's overcast, just be prepared, because you never know, especially here in Texas, that cold weather might hit you at any given time, and you want to be prepared on the water and be safe on the water. And so with that being said, the number one thing that I recommend all kayak anglers use when they're out fishing, especially when it's cold or just about to rain, is most definitely a PFD. No matter what all the accessories and gear that you're going to be putting on yourself, you gotta wear a PFD. Whether it's an inflatable or whether it's a foam one, make sure that you wear a PFD. That's the number one item that you should always have on you at all times. Now, this is a layering system that I'm about to share with you too, and the PFD is just one of those layers. But these layers you can shed on and off, especially during the fall when it might start out really cold and then all of a sudden it starts to get really warm in the day. Sorry about the wind, y'all. Just let the wind pass for a second. Oh, it's still coming. I do want to share with you though, one of the first layers, aside from the PFD, is a good pair of wool socks, not cotton socks. That day I was telling you about when it was super cold, I wore cotton socks. This is the worst kind of socks that you can wear, because especially when you don't have the right footwear on too, water's going to seep into your shoe, it's going to hit the sock, and it's just going to stay cold. These are from Danner, but you can find a lot of wool socks, a lot of major retailers, but having a good pair of socks is essential. Now, going forward, all the other items you can get at Mariner Sales, marinersales.com. You can let any of our ambassadors know if you have any questions on what size and how does it fit you and stuff. But I will share with you my personal how I got to know these items and why I use these items. Okay. So again, the extremities are really important, especially when you're kayak angling. And so these are the NRS HydroSkip gloves. And what's cool about these as I put them on is that, one, the actual cuff area, here comes the wind. The actual cuff area gets pretty far down your wrist, right? And so whenever you have like a hoodie on, like I'm wearing right now, you can always stay warm right here. But not to mention though, this is two big things that are kind of crucial for gloves. Is one, does it have grip, right? That same day that I was out fishing and it was super cold, I had the wrong pair of gloves that didn't have a lot of grip. Well, if you're especially paddling, right, like this paddle here from Bending Branches, step back for a sec, right, you want to be able to grip your paddle pretty well, especially when you're embarking or disembarking from your kayak. And you can see that it's pretty hard for me to really twist this paddle. But the other thing is that they're still pretty thin, and so I still have my dexterity to know if I need to turn my paddle a certain way, but not to mention, especially when you're a kayak angler, to be able to cast and retrieve fish. Especially in the winter and fall, especially after fall too, when those bass and all the other fish kind of get less active, you want to be able to feel them. And so these, your middle finger, your index finger, and your thumb, you're able to take the tips off these gloves and be able to either retie line, be able to, especially when you're using more finesse like techniques, you're able to feather the line coming off the spool, but also be able to feel the rod. It's also like that on the other glove too, where you can, as you can see here, you can just Velcro the tips back on themselves, and then whenever you're going to your next spot, you can just always quickly put your fingertips back on so you can stay warm when you're not using it. So these are the HydroSkip gloves from NRS. They're available at Manor Sales at manorsales.com. They have kept me warm for about 2 seasons so far. So those are extremities, socks, and a really good pair of gloves that you really invest in. Now again, we're talking about layers and building up layers, and some people want to start out with a shirt, or that's all they have on. But I really do recommend, this is a NRS waffle, oops, there we go. This is an NRS waffle undershirt. Now this is a one piece, as you can see here. I'm not going to put it on out here, but this one piece allows me to, when I'll show you the other items I have, just kind of keep everything together. Now you can have a two piece where it's just a top and a bottom, but the nice thing about this is that it wicks away moisture because of the material that it has. And then on top of that, there's a zipper. Sometimes I get hot just because as a kayak angler, you know, we're so active. You know, I kind of can go under my jacket and then kind of unzip it a little bit just so I can breathe a little bit more if I need to. But it's ultra lightweight, so whether it's, again, cold mornings and then warmer afternoons or vice versa, throughout the day, I'm not super hot or super cold too. So it's a really good breathable material, and all these materials are breathable. So I would say just get you a nice pair of underwear along with, you know, more of like another type of waffle like shirt or t-shirt or long sleeve shirt, I should say. But 2 layers of undershirts, that's kind of my recommendation. But this is from NRS. They still have these on Manor Sales and manorsales.com. Now, so those are kind of like what you might see that you're not going to see. But I'm going to talk about this jacket here. This is the Champion Jacket. Now this has fishing in mind. So I'm going to put this on real quick, just so you can see, because this is not just a regular hard shell jacket. Now what's interesting about this jacket is you kind of see how it's not too hard to pull off or put on, but inside this jacket here is a material that NRS has created where it allows the jacket to breathe. And what that means is that, you know, this is a hard shell, all right, and you might be warmer than what the outside air temperature is, and as it's raining or something like that, rain doesn't come in, water doesn't come in, but also heat can escape, and so you get a lot of hard shell jackets. And even right now today where it's 70 degrees, I'm not instantly hot even though I'm wearing a shirt, a hoodie, and now this jacket. The other thing about this jacket, as you can see, it has a cuff that has more so like a neoprene inside, and so it can, one, keep the jacket tight around my wrist so it doesn't ride up as I'm casting overhead or underhand, or roll cast I should say, and so that's cool. But also, again, this is for paddlers and kayak anglers in mind. As you're paddling, right, you know, as that paddle stroke comes from the water, right, it's not falling into my wrist or into the jacket itself. And so that's a really cool feature that I think I really do enjoy. The other thing is, you know, safety on the water. And this jacket, which I'll show you when I take it off, but there's actually a tie on the back so you can cinch it down a little bit, because when you're an angler, you know, you're always looking left and right. There we go. Now, so there's multiple cinch points on this hood, and I'm just going to quickly do this. But as you can see, it's really close to my head. Now I have a big head, but it's really close to my head. It has like a little visor, so you know, you can, it's almost acts like if I don't have a hat on. But the nice thing is, as I turn, right, for the most part, don't have it really cinched down super tight right now. But one, it keeps wind away from my face, especially my ears. But also, I can still hear, right? Because especially with bass boats around or other watercraft in the fall and winter, you're still able to hear, so you can wave them down to say, hey, you're too close or something. But also, you're able to fully turn, and the hood's not just stagnant like this, right? So I think that is a feature that's not really talked about, especially in kayak jackets. But it's something that I personally like. It has all the aforementioned, features that a normal hard shell jacket would have, like Velcro to tighten up your wrist or your sleeve so it doesn't fall. But I think the biggest thing though is for sure that gasket around your wrist. That really keeps a lot of water out. And the last piece about this is on the bottom, you can cinch the jacket around your waist. There's these little dots on the back of your jacket, and that kind of keeps the jacket close to what I'll show you next is the bib. And that allows the jacket not to ride up so much. And trust me, your jacket's gonna ride up if you don't have something like that. So that's the Champion Jacket. It's again available at Mariner Sales and marinersales.com. Now, second to last piece that I wear personally is a bib. Now, this bib, again, also in the Champion family. This was designed by, with anglers in mind, again. But what makes this bib a lot different than others is that it's pretty low cut, right? And so as you're casting or paddling, your paddle stroke, your cast, your arm control, your cast is not being impeded by the bib. The other thing is that there's two pockets. It can accommodate, again, angler in mind, it can accommodate, larger types of phones, like a, large iPhone or something, or Android phone, than your keys and your wallet. But also it has the same breathable material that Champion Jacket has, so you're not super hot. I typically wear or leave this bib, especially in the fall, so around like late October all the way into January, February. I just leave this in the hatch of my kayak. Sometimes I throw it into the back seat of my, I have a back seat pocket bag. I kind of throw this in just because whenever it rains, you never know when it's going to rain, but you can always throw this on. Sorry, more wind, just let it pass. Anyway, you're able to breathe and not feel so tacky when you take it off, right? Because the big thing is that you'll get sick because you're sweating, not because it's super cold and dry, right? So anyway, this is the Champion bib, and it also has additional features like, there's a zipper along the pant leg. So again, if you need to breathe or put, however you want to do, put your boot on, which I'll show you last or in a minute. But you can put your boot on and wrap it around if you want. And then also, again, Velcro to tighten around your ankle. So again, this is the Champion bib, available at Mariner Sales, marinersales.com. I like it. There's also, one last thing is there's some belt loops around the back, so if you want to cinch it, get a little bit tighter around you, you most certainly can. So one of the last pieces that I'll show you guys is this is the NRS Boundary Boot. Now the reason why I like this Boundary Boot is one, it has a flat sole, right? So a flat sole is important because one, as you're on your kayak, you want to have the right type of stability, especially when you're standing up, and you do not want to fall in the water when it's cold. So having a flat sole allows your feet to be more grounded to the kayak. The next thing is that the Boundary Boot has a long upper on it, and so that wraps around your calf, or the lower part of your calf, and you can cinch it down with this pull cord here. So again, where water can't come into your boot. The nice thing on these boots as well too is that it just has a simple pull cord, neoprene pull cord. You don't have to fuss with, you know, tying or anything like that. But also, because the upper is all one piece, is that water doesn't come inside like a normal shoe would. And then lastly, the construction of this, it doesn't really allow water to come in. Now, depending on how if you wet launch or try to dry launch your kayak, I inevitably get into the water at the boat ramp. So for me, you know, I'm going to get wet. And so this allows me to, one, be able to walk on the boat ramps safely, but also not be wet, because as you're wearing these socks, right, you're still going to be warm, but two, you're not going to have water touch those socks and touch your toes. But anyway, these are NRS boots. They keep you warm. They're neoprene, has a really good thick material on them. It's available in multiple sizes. You might want to size up a little bit, especially if you are going to wear thicker like socks. That's just my little pro tip. But if you're not, you might want to have 2 pairs. But again, I would highly start recommending wearing these boots now. Some other accessories is obviously a hat, whether it's a hat like this or an actual stocking cap to protect your ears, but just anything to protect your head. Obviously you can have a hoodie on like I am, and sometimes I wear a hoodie instead of a beanie, just because I don't lose the beanie. I can't lose hoodies. I sometimes misplace, I should say, my beanie. And so sometimes I find a hoodie like this one that has a draw cord, and it can act like my head protection, because you want to keep your head warm as possible. I also keep in the car, or my truck I should say, and even in my kayak, especially around this time, I get a few of these. These are just this is like a body warmer. Sometimes I put these on the sole of my feet. I sometimes do that, or sometimes I put it kind of around like my torso area, just so I'm not shivering as much. I also have like some hand warmers that I put in my pocket, just so, especially on my the hand that I'm holding the rod in. It's okay about this hand because it's always moving. I'm right-handed, so I'm always, you know, using this hand, and so I'm always moving it around. This one, not so much. It's kind of stagnant. So sometimes I'll, especially when I'm going A to B, I'll put my hand in my pocket, or, you know, I'll put one of these around my belly or something, and kind of put my hand like this to warm myself. So anyway, that's kind of my last tidbits on what I wear for cold weather gear in the fall and winter. I highly suggest you invest in these pieces. As you invest into your kayak, right, you don't want to end the season in October and then have your kayak stored in a garage. You can continue to enjoy your kayak throughout the year and make it a 4-season event for yourself. And so be able to be safe on the water, but most importantly, I'll reiterate, is wearing a life jacket, right? Unfortunately, there's going to be people who are not going to make it back to the boat ramp this winter and this fall. And, you know, as the water temperature and the air temperature combine to 100 or 20 degrees or less, right, that obviously means that you need to wear a life jacket, or one of some of these items here that I showed you, like the bib or hard shell, wearing multiple layers, you know, a different type of boot, gloves, but also that does not excuse you to wear a life jacket, whether it's inflatable, whether it's a foam one. Wear a life jacket. I'll reiterate, wear a life jacket. All of our ambassadors are required to wear a life jacket. If you don't see us wear a life jacket, keep us accountable, especially, you know, when we're transitioning and it starts to rain and we take the bib off and it rains on and off and you just decide to leave the life jacket off. No. Whenever we're changing and we need to put back on a life jacket, you know, because it's raining and we try and take the bib on and off, gotta wear the life jacket. Again, wear a life jacket, right? Bring a paddle, right, with you at all times. But again, My name's Cameron Smith. I'm a Mariner Sales Ambassador, and hopefully this video helped you kind of figure out some ideas on what you should wear, and also what you can do to, continue to enjoy your kayak and kayak season throughout the fall and winter seasons. Anyway, y'all take care. Bye for now.